Question number 183, Shri Manoj Kotak.
Question number 183.
On the table of the House, sir.
माननीय मंत्री।
अध्यक्ष महोदय, मेरा जो प्रश्न है वो ग्लास फसाड के बढ़ते उपयोग को लेकर है। जैसे कि आप जानते हैं कि ग्लोबल वार्मिंग को रोकने के लिए काफ़ी उपाय योजना की जाती है, जिससे एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन भी होना चाहिए। लेकिन आज के समय में मॉल हो या कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग हो या रेजिडेंशियल बिल्डिंग हो, इन सभी को ग्लास फसाड से कवर किया जाता है, जिसके कारण एनर्जी का वहाँ पे उपयोग बढ़ता है, बिजली की आपूर्ति करना मुश्किल हो जाता है। नीरी की एक रिपोर्ट थी जिसमें 17% एनर्जी का उपयोग बढ़ता है। न केवल वो बढ़ता है लेकिन ग्लोबल वार्मिंग में उष्णता भी बढ़ती है इसके कारण। माननीय मंत्री जी ने उत्तर में तो बताया कि इसके लिए एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन बिल्डिंग कोड तो है, लेकिन उसका जब पालन नहीं होता तो उसके खिलाफ कोई सख्त कदम उपाय योजना करने की सरकार की योजना है क्या? माननीय मंत्री जी बताएं।
I would like to thank the honorable member for focusing on this issue. Glass clearly has an aesthetic value, but there is no evidence to suggest that the use of glass facade in buildings per se results in extra utilization of energy. In fact, the studies that have been conducted or the work that has been done by the Bureau of Indian Standards in the National Building Code or in the model bylaws that my ministry has worked out shows that, in fact, a glass building, if properly designed, properly located, can have, in fact, beneficial effects. In fact, therefore, those who are utilizing glass facades, either in the residential segment or in the commercial area, would normally want to satisfy themselves. In fact, a reference has been made to a study by IIT Delhi, which says that it consumes 4 times more energy. I have personally read that study, Mr. Speaker, sir. In fact, there is no such conclusion in the study. This is a popular narrative, and if I may submit, not an entirely accurate narrative. In fact, glass buildings which are facing south use more energy. Those which are facing north use less energy. Those which are east or west about equal amount. Then if you use glass in terms of double glazing and you insert a certain gas into them, which is argon or krypton, the evidence is that the building consumes less energy. So I would urge the honorable member and all others, if there is any study done in India or outside which has the effect of demonstrating that the use of glass facade is actually contributing to global warming. Insofar as global warming is concerned, Honorable Speaker, all of us sitting in the room are contributing to global warming, the rise in the temperature of the earth, seawater, exactly. But our effort all along has been to construct buildings which are environmentally and sustainable and friendly, and therefore, if there is any evidence which comes that glass facade has the opposite effect, we would certainly look at that evidence.
माननीय सदस्य।
अध्यक्ष महोदय, माननीय मंत्री जी ने तो ये कहा कि आईआईटी के रिपोर्ट में ऐसा सब्सटेंशियल नहीं पाया गया। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अमेरिका के अंदर न्यूयॉर्क सिटी में ग्लास फसाड के ऊपर पूर्णतया प्रतिबंध लगाने की तैयारी चल रही है और उस हिसाब का बिल भी वहाँ पे आया है। और मुझे लगता है कि माननीय मंत्री जी ने जो बताया कि एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन बिल्डिंग कोड के अनुसार मापदंड तो बनाए गए। मेरा प्रश्न बहुत स्पेसिफिक था कि वो मापदंड का उपयोग बनाने के भवन निर्माता करते नहीं है, उसके ऊपर कोई सख्त कदम उपाय योजना है? एक दूसरा, पिछले दिनों सूरत के अंदर एक कोचिंग क्लास के अंदर आग लग गई थी और उस वक्त पे बचाव कार्य में ये ग्लास फसाड की वजह से बाधा आई थी। तो सुरक्षा उपाय का भी यहाँ पे प्रतिबंध करना जरूरी होता है कि अगर हम ऐसी बिल्डिंगों के लिए कोड तो बनाते, नियमावली तो बनाते, लेकिन उसके अनुसार अगर भवन निर्माता भवन नहीं बनाते, और ये जो घटना सूरत की घटी है उसमें हमने देखा कि कई बच्चों की जानें चली गई, वो कोचिंग क्लासेस वहाँ पे थे। तो ऐसे जब नियम होते हैं तो उसका पालन करने के लिए क्या किया जाए, वो मंत्री जी बताएं।
Sir, the Bureau of Indian Standards in its IS 16231, it covers selection methodology on basis of properties related to light, energy, fire, and safety. These have to be followed. If there are any instances where the prescribed norms are not followed, That would be at the risk that the builder would be taking, but if there is a violation, we'd be happy to look at it. Similarly, the National Building Code provides for, of 2016, provides for use of glass based on their thermal properties to optimize solar load while taking care of safety concern. My own ministry has these bylaws. The honorable member shifted from IIT Delhi to the United States, and he referred to a bill which is before the legislature. I'm not aware of that bill, but I'd be happy to look at it. But I can tell him that I'm not aware of any move to ban buildings per se. I had the privilege of serving as India's ambassador and permanent representative to the UN. I lived for 5 happy years in an entirely glass building, the Trump Tower on 2nd Avenue on 46, and I'd be surprised if that building was going to be banned, and particularly right now. But all I would say is that we have worked out a certain code, which is the ECBC code. 12 states have adopted that code. The code becomes mandatory. We only design, Honorable Speaker, a template. Once that template is accepted by the states, it becomes mandatory. And after making all these bylaws, these will then be implemented by the states. But let me again reiterate, as my distinguished colleague, the Jal Shakti Minister did earlier, these are all state subjects. And we can only design an ecosystem here and then look to the states to implement them. But again, I want to assure the honorable member that should he have any difficulties on any utilization of glass which proceeds in a manner which is violating any prescribed norm, I would be happy to sit down with him and look at that issue. But I'm not aware of anyone having brought to our attention the need to move in a direction which seeks to curb the use of glass. Thank you very much.
श्री सोगत राय जी, श्री सोगत राय जी,
Individual.
माननीय मंत्री जी आप जवाब मत दीजिए, ऐसे नहीं
Sir,
चलेगा।
I'm
माननीय
happy
सोगत राय
that
जी।
the minister spent 5 happy years in Trump Towers in New York. But what he is saying goes against common sense. It's evident that if you use glass in the facade of a building, more light comes in. That means energy for using light becomes less. But since glass admits more heat, cost for air conditioners would be more. Nowadays, there is this concept of the green building. The minister, in his reply, has nowhere mentioned the need for green building. I would like to ask the Honorable Minister that all his reports are dated. IIT study is dated to July 2011. The National Building Code is dated 2016. Model building bylaws are dated 2016. I'd like to know specifically from the Honorable Minister whether, in view of the many apprehensions expressed by people about using glass for the newly coming up shopping malls, multi-storied residential buildings and office buildings, whether the ministry would notify green building laws and make it compulsory for all big builders who are influential throughout the country.
I would like to, I'm happy to take this discussion into the realm of common sense. Let me tell the honorable member that there are glass facades and there are glass facades. For instance, the least and the most disadvantage of these are very clearly, if you have, for instance, as I mentioned in double glazing, if you insert an argon or krypton gas, it becomes, in fact, it has a cooling effect. Now, insofar, if I may be allowed to complete, I may be able to also respond on the doctrine of common sense. Let me say that the most energy consuming is the clear-cut glazing. That's the most energy consuming. Then there is a low E1 glazing, then low E2 glazing. Then there is the absorptive glazing, which absorbs a lot of the heat. Then there is the reflective glass. And in fact, today, we are utilizing what is called a green rating of integrated habitual assessments, where we rate green buildings. our entire effort in the urbanization is to impanel technologies which are green technologies. It is our assessment that the India of 2030, the answer to the question is specific to the question. Because the question referred to a IIT study, I had to answer that. If the question had been on green technology, I'm willing to have a discussion with the honorable member. Yes, I'm trying to, at the level of common sense, to inform the honorable member that a mix of different components can be used. We have clear evidence that, in fact, a mall constructed with concrete using different components like aluminium, compost, bricks, glass, in fact, can be far more damaging to the environment than a well-constructed glass building. So in other words, we have to ensure that the aesthetics of glass is also anchored in green technology. And in fact, all our recommendations on the use of technologies, use of materials are all based on green buildings. In fact, the entire effort is anchored on that, and therefore the answer was specific to the question. If I had digressed to that, again, we can only formulate a template. We have 12 states have accepted it. I will encourage the other states to accept them as well.